Hello there, this is Jeffrey Schmidt at Jeffrey Schmidt Music, and this is my video on the Ampeg BA-112 bass amplifier, and this is on version 1, not on the current version, which is version 2. However, the version 1, at least where I am, in the suburbs of Paris, France, there are quite a few that you can find online used. Here it's around 200 euros used. And they seem to have held their value over the years because my wife bought this amp for about 200 euros maybe 10 years back. Can't remember exactly. Probably around 2008, something like that. So I can just go over the features quickly. I even printed out the spec sheet. So it's 50 watts at 8 ohms. And we have two inputs, one for passive bass pickups, and one for active bass pickups if you need it. At mine is 15 dBs. So you get a padded input if you want that. We have a volume knob. We have a style knob, which takes you through 5 automatic different EQ settings. And since I printed out the manual, which you can find online if you want, you can even see what those EQ settings are. Right, number 1 is minus 25 dB at 500 Hertz. Number 2 is minus 12 dB at 500 Hertz. Number 3 is flat. And number 4 is plus 5 dB at 2 kilohertz and above. And number 5 is minus 6 dB at 50 Hertz and below. I kind of think style 1 is not bad. Takes a lot of the muddiness out of the amp. And when you're recording in a bedroom, 500 Hertz is kind of a bad frequency. It tends to build up. And yeah, style 1, 2, or 3, depending, can be nice. And we have treble, mid, and bass. And here on the spec sheet, what do we got for those? We have treble is an EQ band at 10 kilohertz, a little high for a bass, I think. The mids are at 500 hertz, which is nice. It's always nice to scoop out some mids if you need to. And the so-called bass is at 50 hertz. Why not? Honestly, the bass, the speaker itself, I'm not sure how much 50 hertz it actually pushes, so maybe the bass frequency should have been more like 100 hertz probably. I record this amp often with my Electro Voice RE20 and microphone, and yeah, often the lower octave is lacking, is noticeably lower in amplitude than the octave above that. So you know, with the RE20 recording, you could get away with it just recording this amp. That's for sure. It wouldn't be the end of the world. But I always enjoy using a DI to split it off and grab a DI signal to reinforce the bass frequencies. So we went over all the controls up through the bass knob. Here we have they call it CD input, but they're RCA cables. So if you have an old style hi-fi system you want to hook up to the amp or whatever, you can do that. Some systems, I have the Yamaha AG03 audio interface has RCA outs. So that may be useful, but these days most people are using mini jack, since that suits telephone inputs, and this amp does not have that. You have a stereo jack line out, and you have a headphone larger stereo jack output. And then we have the power switch. So one thing this bass amp is missing is a bit of drive or, some sort of dirt, which really helps to make a bass stick out in a mix. And I've already done a video on it, but I'm gonna recommend one device that goes awesome with this amp that I use all the time with it is the SansAmp Paradriver DI by Tech21. So, but there are all different kinds of dirt pedals you can get. If you do want to pick up this amp used, which is I think the only way to get it at this point. So let's go into my experience with this amp as far as usage is concerned. I use it for recording all the time. 50 watts for a bass amp is really a nice level to have when you're recording in a bedroom. Not too loud, not too soft. Fills up the room quite nice, but doesn't wake up the neighbors basically. Well, it might. It might depending on your living arrangements, but I'm in a house, so it's definitely not going to wake up the neighbors in my case. So that's for recording, and like I said, I recommend that if you do use this for recording, it'd be nice to have some sort of DI. The SansAmp that I just showed you is both a dirt pedal and a DI at the same time, so I use that to add dirt both to the amp signal and to the DI signal. But you also, which is nice, on the SansAmp, have the option to go parallel output. So if you want one of the signals to not have dirt, you can use the parallel output, which just replicates the input signal, which is nice too. But that's not what I tend to do. So we covered recording, and now as far as a concert amp, it's pretty... my wife plays bass, and when I do gigs, she often accompanies me on bass as I'm singing and playing guitar, and this amp is fine in that situation. I definitely don't think that this amp would hold up to a drummer, that's for sure. So if you're playing with a drummer, you'd want to get a more high-powered amp. So, like I said, for more acoustic, in quotes, types gigs, meaning without a full drum kit, you could probably get by, cafe stuff, whatever. But if you're playing with a drummer, I think you're never going to cut it with this amp unless you use the line out going to a PA or something. So there you go as far as gigging is concerned. And then I'll just give you my story on how I kept using this amp, because recently I looked into getting myself a bass amp. This amp is not super inspiring, but it's solid, and it's been around, like I said, for 10 years, and it's not going to quit. Clearly it's made solid, it records well, and you add a really nice pedal like the SansAmp to it, and you got all you need. But I was looking for something a bit better, and this is my wife's amp, and she has it usually where she is, and so if I want to use it, I always have to go run and get it. So I figured, well, maybe I'd get myself a bass amp so that I don't have to run and get it every time, and that way I have another tone option. And so I was looking into bass amps, and just to tell you the conclusion in advance, I just didn't get another amp. I'm still using this one. I'm still running to get my wife's amp. But the main competitors seem to be the Fender 12, what is it, the Fender Rumble 3 with a 12-inch speaker. I didn't mention it, most people know already, but the name of the amp is BA-112, and it means, right, the 112 stands for one 12-inch speaker, right? That's how a lot of these amp manufacturers code their products. So the Fender has a current 12-inch speaker model, which is supposedly very light, which that's kind of cool. But I'm not really all that wowed by the sound of it. I listen to a lot of sound samples, and then I also listen to the Ampeg version 2 of this amp, right? Because like I said, this is the version 1 of the BA-112, and then Ampeg has another version 2 or Mark II line of the BA amplifiers that's out currently, and I looked into that as well. I do appreciate the sound of that amp better than this one and better than the Fender. The big killer for the current version of the BA-112 version 2 that Ampeg has out is the fan. So if you look into that and you watch enough demos of the BA-112 version 2, like I said, the sound quality is pretty good. You know, I'm sure if you turn it up loud and mic it really close, then you might be able to get away with it in most situations. But, you know, I don't know. If you're used to mixing like me, electric guitars and basses with dirt on them, it can be kind of annoying, like toward the end of the song, if you have a song where you're hitting a note and it just rings out and you don't want to fade out too quickly, which sounds a little weird. You want to let the note ring out a bit. You're going to start hearing all kinds of noise even without this fan story. Or if you have a, you know, a fairly quiet part of the song that just solos the bass, which is, you know, possible. The level of noise of this fan would just be totally unacceptable. I mean, I've listened to several different demos online, and it's just crazy. So I don't know why they made the current version, the BA-112, have this loud fan. I don't know what they were thinking. This version of the BA-112 has no fan, as far as I can tell. And it works just fine, and it never overheats. So there you go. Well, it does have a vent back here. Maybe it even does have a fan. I've just never heard it. It's never been a problem whatsoever to me. It does have a vent here in the back now that I'm looking at it. There's a warning that says that it can get hot. I don't know. And yeah, the other thing that I haven't mentioned is that this BA-112 version 1, the one that I have right now, the one that I'm reviewing right now, has a kickback option, which is a 45-degree angle, so it's like diagonal, so it points up diagonally when you kick it back, which can definitely be nice. If you want to point it more towards your head, you get a better sense of what the sound coming out of the speaker is actually sounding like. So that I appreciate. The newer version also has a kickback option with some, I think it's like a 60-degree angle, so it's almost pointing straight up at you, which probably in a, you know, recording in a smaller room is actually nicer. But I just couldn't pull the trigger on either the Fender Rumble 12-inch or the new Ampeg BA-112. There was just something always holding me back with all of them. And oh yeah, on top of it, the version 2 of the Ampeg BA-112 seems to have a certain number of people that have reliability issues as well. So altogether, I'm just sticking with this amp that we have in the house. It's not mine. I still have to run and go get it sometimes, but hey, this thing is still kicking, and I think it's gonna keep running forever. I mean, it's just solid. It's not super inspiring, but it's decent. And like I said, with the dirt pedal, it definitely gets me where I need to go. And then I use DI to reinforce the lower octave of the bass recording when I am recording. So there you have it. Let me know if you have any comments or questions about this amp. And I'd like to get out some sound samples soon because I've had some requests for that. Sound samples with both the amp and then with DI and then both together and then maybe with different basses. I don't know. We'll see what I cook up as far as that's concerned. But thanks for watching. Have a great day and take care.